Hello, my companions. This is Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to Course in Miracles here on Facebook Live. And we're going to continue with absolutely learning what is the curriculum I need to use in order to have peace, joy, and happiness. And how can I get rid of my fear? And how can I learn how to look at fear and upset in a way that totally and completely blesses you and heals you? So if you want to know how to deal with your emotional reactions and anybody else's emotional reactions to anything that they think they're going through, then that is exactly what we're going to do today in a course in miracles. So in order for us to get centered, we have our theme song, and I bet you don't know what it is. It is, I am not a victim of the world I see. You are not a victim of the world you are looking at. You are not a victim of that mate you were thinking about poisoning last night. You are not a victim of that job that you're crying before you go to it tomorrow morning. You are not a victim, and this is a big one. You ready? You are not a victim of your car. That's what I'm talking about. Have you ever felt like a victim of your transmission? Okay. And headlights, well, you're not a victim of anything you see. So come from your heart when you hear this. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world. What? I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim. What? Of the world I see. I'm not a victim, no, of the world I see. Listen to the words. I'm not a victim of my mom, not a victim of my father, not a victim of events, circumstance at all. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. That includes the good stuff. I'm not a victim of the future, not a victim of the past, not a victim of anything that really doesn't last. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. That's what's happening right now. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim, no, of the world I see. Yeah, yeah. I love my high-tech operation. I'm the roadie. I'm the sound man. I'm the sound man.
Band number one.
See, I had to learn how to multiply myself. That's the way I'm going to get a full house. I'm going to come in here one day and it's going to be me cloned. I'm working on it right now. Then I won't have to worry about who's here because all of me need to hear it. So I'd like to ask you to take a breath right now. I'm so grateful to have you in here today. I want you to remember that the best thing you can possibly do is remember the guidelines from the course, which is you don't have to believe the ideas. You need not believe the ideas. You need not believe the ideas. The Course in Miracles says you need not accept the ideas. Our interview pretty successful at not believing some of the ideas. And some of you, sometimes you find it hard for you to accept some of the ideas. So you don't even have to welcome the ideas. You don't even have to welcome the ideas. The truth is, some of the ideas you may resist. Some of the ideas. I know I feel like like I've said before, I feel like a flight attendant, right, who gives us the safety drill, right, because we've heard it a lot. The temptation is to not to really take a moment to really hear what I'm saying. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe because that usually means you're hearing something new, and you may be hearing something different from what you believe. So really, that's actually a good thing. Some of the ideas might startle you. The Course in Miracles doesn't want to make use of one of our favorite skills. What would that skill be? Judgment. It says you are not being asked to judge the ideas. So how will you know that it works? It says using it. If you use the ideas, then the use of the ideas will give the ideas meaning to you. And then when the use of it gives meaning to the ideas, don't you think that will show you that it's true? Just listening to the Course or only reading the Course will not give you the full results of what the Course is teaching. In teaching for over 40 years, sometimes people give up on the class because they listened and their life didn't change. So then they tell themselves, I need to go to a different class so they can listen again and see if everything changes. That's just like wanting to build a house, getting the tools, and then throwing the tools on the ground and wondering why the house isn't built. And then saying, oh, the house isn't built. Going back to the hardware store, buying some more tools and throwing those tools on the ground. And then saying, why is the house not built? That's the same as going from book to teacher to workshop, and then not applying the things that you're being told to do. And what makes the Course in Miracles particularly tempting is that it never asks you to do something that you really couldn't start practicing right now. So it takes away the excuse of, as soon as I have this, I'll be able to do that. As soon as I buy this, I'll be able to do that. The Course never asks us to do anything but to learn how to change our perception. And then what is it that the Course in Miracles says that a perception is? The Course in Miracles teaches that a perception is an interpretation. So a perception is an interpretation. A perception is an interpretation. I am the divine, and I added the divine part, the divine repetition teacher. I am your remembering coach. So I'm going to follow what the Course in Miracles says we need to do. He says right here, this is the truth, at first to be but said. Then repeated many times. And next, to be accepted, wow, as but partly true. Yeah, I believe what the court says about we're innocent, but I certainly don't believe that love is freedom. I got some things I hear in the course I'm willing to accept. He says, say it over and over again, and then after a while, you will begin to accept it. And then it says, as partly, I love this, as partly true with many reservations. Okay, I'm beginning to accept what the Course in Miracles is saying. Maybe that's partly true. I'm not as guilty as I tell myself I am, but I have some reservations about not seeing myself as guilty when I think I've done something wrong, or if I think I've hurt somebody, because I don't know about you, but I've been taught that good people feel guilty about their things that they do. Have you heard that? So one of the things that makes you a good person, you may really screw me, but at least you feel guilty about it. And that makes you a good person. It's so funny. I know, I did you wrong, but I feel bad, right? Because nothing makes somebody angry than for someone to say to you, I did you wrong, and I don't feel guilty about it. Ooh, we want to get, so when the court says you're guiltless and it says you're innocent, it's not asking you to be a sociopath, right? It's just saying that seeing yourself as guilty won't resolve the situation. What resolves the situation is when you recognize that it doesn't work. You stop doing something because it doesn't work quicker than you will stop doing something because it makes you feel guilty. How many times in your life have you felt guilty about something and you did it again? Yeah. Right? You go, I feel guilty about this. I'm not going to. The next thing you know, you slugging that beer down again, right? Because you feel guilty about the last one you slugged down. That made it better. Then you feel guilty about that. Then you go get a six-pack.
There you go. Or the dispensary.
That's the only kind of six-pack I'll be able to have.
One pack.
I have a negative six-pack. You do not want me to pull this top up. There will be no ripples. There won't be ripples, but there will be wrinkles. Thank God I'm not my body. Oh, thank God I'm not my body. Oh, Jesus. And then it says, then after you accept it as partly true with many reservations, the next thing you do is you start to consider this truth seriously. Okay? And then the last step is, he says, you consider it more and more seriously. Maybe I am the child of innocence. Maybe I am a child of love. Maybe I am spirit. Maybe I am entitled to miracles. Maybe I do rest in God. You start to, then he said, you consider that more and more, and then the final step happens. And the final step is you finally accept it as true. So you just heard the way that you would change your beliefs or accept a new belief or a new truth. Did anybody here, anywhere in there, let's analyze this and break this down? He didn't say analyze that truth. It didn't say judge that truth. What is it that it said do? Repeat it. Repeat the truth. Repeat the loving thoughts. Repeat the healing thoughts. Have you noticed that people tend to repeat fearful, negative thoughts much faster than they repeat loving, positive thoughts? Do you notice there seems to be more negative, fearful things in your perception and happening in the world than it seems sometimes that you hear really positive, loving stuff? Well, that's a perfect example of it. The stuff we talk about, the stuff we share, the stuff we repeat, that's what we manifest in our perception. So the easiest way to change your life is to change that voice in your head and what you're saying to yourself. You haven't heard that. This isn't the first time you heard this. So what am I doing?
Repeat.
Was that what I was told to do? Okay, so I'm actually applying the idea and repeating. Now, sometimes when you hear something over and over again, it can make you feel bored. You think, oh, if I hear this one more time, I think I'll jump out the window. Right. But that's why the course, in its beauty, the text alone is 622 pages. So it's 622 pages of how to say the same thing a different way, so that you never become bored. Because sometimes I've heard people use it as an excuse not to study the Course in Miracles. Well, it's just saying the same thing over and over. Yeah, that's why it works. Because once you accept it as true, then you perceive it. Then you manifest it. Okay, I'll say that again. The once you accept it as true is when you start seeing the results. So anything that's going to get you to the point that you accept it as true, then that's the quicker you're gonna have the belief, and then the quicker you're gonna perceive it and manifest it. So what does the Course in Miracles do? Well, the Course in Miracles says, I'm gonna save you a lot of time, since ultimately what you need is a perception of yourself as being beautiful and priceless and loved. Then I'm gonna give you the highest compliment of all. I'm gonna tell you, you are a priceless part of the Creator's love and kingdom. That you are a child of the Most High, that you are a spiritual being with unlimited power, and you're beautiful, and you're innocent, and you're sinless, and you're guiltless, and you're eternal, right? Yes. You are. What are you doing here, being excited? Don't you know we don't do that? We're quiet. We're quiet, laid back Course students. We don't get all excited.
I make
Bring it.
That's good. Me too.
That's what I came to do.
All right. So then the next sentence says, and this is lesson 284. I'm going to go back to what we are doing today, but this is, Spirit told me to say this. And then right after that, the statement that it says is, I can elect, and we get ready to have an election. I didn't mean to remind you all of that. We do want to keep the energy up, didn't we? People don't know. The world drives me to the truth. It used to distract me. I would get so caught up in the pleasures of the world. And the Course in Miracles says that the world, the ego, the part of us that's not aware of the truth, it's interested in personal power, fame, money, specialness, being liked, and really physical pleasure. Power, fame, money, physical pleasure. I guarantee you, it's probably, if I was teaching a class on how to become a millionaire, there would probably be more people in the room. If I was teaching a class on how to find your soulmate because they're hiding from you, I would
be in the closet?
Yeah. That's another meaning of being in the closet. That's your partner hiding from you. Well, the way you find your soulmate, if you don't choose to use spiritual principles, is get an Apple AirTag. And then you can put it on them and follow them around and know where they are. That's right. So, yeah, that's right.
Somebody told me that already. They're already doing it.
And if you've been with each other for many, many years, you're trying to find your old mate. Okay. And so the lesson is, I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. That I can choose to change every thought that hurts me. You can choose to change every thought that hurts you. So what do? You repeat that, and you repeat that, and you repeat that until you begin to believe it with some reservations and think it's maybe partly true. You keep saying, I can change this thought that's hurting me. I can change this thought that's hurting me. And then you seriously consider it more and more. I can change this thought. And then finally it hits you. I can change my thoughts. And you don't even have to figure out what the new thought that would make you feel better is. Because the Course in Miracles is full of the thoughts that solve all your perceptions of your problems. I'll say it again. The Course in Miracles will give you the way to interpret everything that can cause you to have less fear. And it can take away your fear by giving you new ways to interpret things like, I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. That's better than me saying, oh, all these thoughts that are hurting me, I just can't help it. You're hurting my feelings. You hurt my feelings. You hurt my feelings. I can elect to change my thoughts and tell myself, I hurt my feelings. I hurt my feelings. What would be the advantage of that? Well, I could elect to change the thoughts that are hurting my feelings. If you are hurting my feelings, then I've got to change you. And I suspect, since you've done such a poor job of changing yourself, it might be a possibility I can't change you. So I like my relationships prepackaged. You know, the stuff that come to you already cooked. I like people showing up in my life that's already compatible with me.
Hello.
That's already appreciating me. That's already seeing my value. That's all, or they want to. They want to get past the blocks. I just can't spend any time on people that I got to convince to want to be happy and to be more loving. That's just insane to me. And I see that temptation because everything I see in the world is something I've done. I only see my past. And I say to my past, and when someone tries to judge me by my past, what do I say? Kiss my past. And when you're trapped in the truth, when you just can't help the truth, and you got to do the truth, and when you try to get away from the truth is there. Have you noticed that? It's everywhere. You're trapped in truth. So what is our organization called? TIT. Trapped in truth. How many of y'all willing to be members of TIT?
Hey, too late. I'm in there.
You are now banned from YouTube. Yeah.
It's just an acronym.
Yeah. Well, the people with a sense of humor, they are loving it. The ones who have a lot of guilt, they're appalled.
And they're still innocent.
Right. Yeah, one of the best things I like now that I've begun to accept the Course more after 43 years of teaching it is that people who don't like me, who don't resonate with me, they leave me. I used to feel bad when people would abandon me or leave me. What about you? So you're saying somebody that doesn't appreciate you have decided to get away from you, but you used to run after them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I used to keep a little lunch bag in the bushes with me, watching them. You know? I'd be practicing the Course in Miracles and be behind the bush.
That was your process.
Well, I'd be telling myself, I'm innocent.
That's your process.
I'm the holy child of God behind the bush. Okay, that's all right. That's right. I was a call for love. I was a call for love, even though my girlfriend would say, no, this is a call for the police. That's what y'all need to do right now. Because she left me for a younger guy. Oh. So again,
Think you need a six-pack now. Six-pack now.
That's right. That's right. I asked for it. I wanted it. When I realized I was criticizing, I was complaining, I wasn't really appreciating her. I was really thinking about how she needed to change in order to be happy. I wasn't really looking as forward to spending time together as I had in the past. So I really wasn't appreciating her, but yet I had the audacity to feel hurt when she was attracted to someone who did give her that attention and younger. I asked for that. Everything in my actions was saying to her, I'm not valuing you. I'm not loving you. You know, you deserve to be valued. You deserve to be loved. So I used to could treat women crappy when they didn't think highly of themselves, because they'd stick around and try to please me even if I got upset. And I know you all don't do anything like this, and you never have, right? And so I had relationships, and then I would respond to the guilt and the anger that would be directed toward me, and maybe I changed my mind because I felt so guilty because they got upset. Have you done that? Right? So they got so angry, and they tried to make you feel guilty about what you have done, and so you turn around and try to make up for that. So you let someone who's attacking you be the person you're obeying. And the message that you're giving them is, the way you get what you want from me is to attack me. And if I'm guilt-ridden and I can be manipulated by guilt, then I'm going to give in. And then that further convinces them to be a little bit more cruel, means I'll get a little bit more done. And so the relationship starts to gradually become more and more antagonistic, more and more unsatisfying, and you don't always see what each other, what you're doing as what? A call for love, a call for help. Wow. So we're gonna start off in paragraph 8 in no, I think okay, we're gonna do paragraph 9, going through the Holy Spirit's curriculum, the Loving Minds curriculum. And those of you out there with books, we're going to be on page 217 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of the Course in Miracles. And we're in chapter 12, the Holy Spirit's curriculum, which is love's curriculum, and the judgment of a loving mind, which is the judgment of the Holy Spirit. When the Course taught me the difference between love and fear, I realized most of my relationships were based in a special form of fear, but I was calling it love. But what we were really engaged in is a special form of fear. The Course says what we call, I love it, says, what you call love is just fear that you like.
A preference.
Yeah, it's like, why do you think you're jealous? You're afraid of losing them. The people you say you love, but you limit them, well, you're afraid to free them. So it's really just another form of fear. And don't you think that if you're not treating somebody really well and with appreciation, it kind of would make you kind of watch them really close, because you know you're not doing them right, so that means you could easily lose them. That someone else could come into the experience and absolutely get them. I've had friends that were mistreating that back in the day, that would be like mistreating the girlfriend and not giving them the love they want, and then get mad because somebody else wants to take them to the movie. Right? I'm not treating you right, but I'm so cruel that I don't want anybody else to treat you right either. That's not right. You know that's not right. You know, God, sometimes people feel so guilty they take their partners out. They feel so guilty they project all that anger on. I can remember back when I was more of a tyrant, back in my 20s when I was married. I was a tyrant. Sometimes you don't see that you were that way while you're that way. Have you noticed that? And then you look back and you go, I'm surprised they stayed with me that long. Right? That in itself is like, my God, how did she? And so anyway, And you know, one of when you feel weak and fearful, you feel powerless. So when you're in a situation that you're always feeling fear in, don't you think you feel weak and you feel powerless, right? So what would happen would be, I would be out in the world, see myself as not having a whole lot of power, and especially the way I was programmed racially, that I was a black guy who didn't have a lot of power in America, so I felt like I was weak. And you know what I'm saying? So I didn't have a lot of what appeared to be a lot of power in my environment. So I come home and be a tyrant because that's where I'm going to rule. I'm going to get my power back here. The king has walked in. And see, that's what happens. When you don't feel powerful and you don't feel strong, the Course in Miracles says the fearful are the ones that can feel vicious and attack. That fearful people attack more than anyone else. It's frightened people that are the most vicious. So how does that compute at a practical level? It says to me, the more I make my friends, my mate, anybody in my life afraid and think I'm a threat, the more likely they're going to try to attack me or hurt me in some way. So my goal in all my personal relationships is for the person that's in a relationship with me to feel as safe as they possibly can. Because the safer a person feels, don't you think that if they felt safe, then they may not want to attack me? Right? Right? I say it again, because we forget this when we're fussing and arguing and getting upset and getting ready to hold agreements. Like everybody sitting up here now, including me right now, going, you're so right. And then the next thing, I'll read about you on the Channel 9 News this evening. Because the Course in Miracles says we got these two faces. And he says, one face is the face of innocence. He says, that face is always wet with tears at the injustices the world would do to a person who would be kind and loving. In the world, we know the world just hurts you and don't care about you when you're nice, because he says, we tell ourselves, I'm so good in an evil world. He said, that's the first face. Everybody makes that face up, the face that they're sane and cool, else you wouldn't get their phone number in the first place. Right? So we all got the mask on, like what's sitting in front of me right now is your representative. These are your representatives right now. This is the people who really, really know you, who see you behind what I'm seeing right now. This is our public face. This is our innocent face. This is how we trick people into liking us. I had to walk up to my wife before I got married and shimmered up there and said, I'm an insane tyrant. You want to go out with me? She probably wouldn't have. You gotta lie to get a date. Anybody on the dating sites know what I'm talking about. They'll describe themselves one way, and they'll show up and you don't even recognize them. They like standing up there. What? And then they didn't recognize you either. You did the same thing. You did the same thing. Y'all asking each other where the other person is. So, have you seen Gloretha? I'm trying to, and she's standing right there. I'm Gloretha. What? I love doing the Course because it's the only time I'm not depressed. That's the truth. Y'all think I'm kidding.
No, that's why I'm laughing.
I had a pistol in my mouth just this morning. Some people have morning coffee. I have morning pistol. Let me go get my pistol. I'm here again. I'm going to pass this around, and I'd like for you, if you haven't already done it, to print and put your contact information so that if for some reason I'm not here, or I know I'm not going to be here, or I need to contact you about something that I'm doing, then I can let you know. Because we have an intimate group here that's been so consistent that I've been afraid to say you've been consistent.
So we don't disagree.
Yeah, because as soon as I say that, poof! I say I've done this so many years, y'all be shocked at how many things I've seen over and over again. Seeing my own patterns in my own cycle in my teaching ministry, seeing my own patterns and my own cycles in my relationships. I know exactly what I do. You know, have y'all noticed your pattern? And then don't even mention money. You know what I'm saying? Jobs. All my bosses were the same boss, just in different bodies, and all the jobs I was in. My bosses always liked me. If more than it looked like they liked anybody else. That was a good pattern. That was a good pattern. You know. And so we got good patterns and we got bad patterns. And the Course is saying when you feel fear, it's a symptom. What is fear a symptom of? That you are believing you could lose something. If I was hiking up in the mountains in Colorado and I saw a bear, I would have fear. So instead of saying fear, I could say, I see this bear, I'm having a symptom of my own deep sense of loss. Right? That's what fear is. I think I could lose what? My life. So fear, see somebody with your partner, right? They at a dance and they look like they're really enjoying themselves. You feel jealous. That's fear. Because it's a symptom of what? A deep sense of loss. Because I know what kind of maid I am. It wouldn't be that hard for them to make another choice. So I'm hoping she has enough low self-esteem to stay with me. My wife got nerve enough to go her own way and leave the marriage because she was listening to my class. Her self-esteem grew to the point she wasn't going to take it anymore. So don't never bring your special partners to a class of truth. And most of y'all are successful at doing that.
From experience.
From experience. I notice very few people be coupling off in my classes. And I know everybody not by themselves. You know what I'm saying? So I know y'all leaving somebody at home. Because we are here to learn how to get more control over them. If I could learn this truth, I'm going up. And you can elect to change all thoughts that hurt about what I just said. So the Course in Miracles is unbelievable when you take it slow. I've been reading this book for years, and so many times inside the book, Jesus of the Course in Miracles would say, read slowly. Say this slowly and contemplate. Think about what you are reading. And I watch people read the Course like they're reading a novel. They just read it. Fear is a symptom of your own deep sense of lack. When you perceive fear in others, if you learn to correct the sense of loss, the basic cause of fear is removed. Therefore, you teach yourself that fear doesn't exist in you. Now, how many of y'all could close your book and tell me what I just said? See? My point is, if you go, when you see fear in others, what do? If you learn to correct the sense of loss, the basic cause of fear is removed. I feel jealous. That's deep sense of loss. I see my partner over there seeming like they're really, really enjoying each other a lot. It's like the fact that they're in a deep French kiss. I just mean they're being friendly. Okay, so.
More specific.
I'll never forget the first time I used to be in the truth so good I would pride myself in never getting jealous. That was my thing. You couldn't make me jealous. I'm Mr. Freedom. You know what I'm saying? I was at a party and I went back in the kitchen and I came back out and it's like my girlfriend looked enthralled with this guy. I mean, you know what I'm saying? When you can just see they just enthralled. And I swear, it was like somebody had taken a dagger and just plunged it into my chest. And I was like, what in the world was that? And then the voice of reason said, well, you know, you're feeling, the course calls it a stab of jealousy. That's such a cool way to put it. A stab of jealousy. And I made a decision, I'll never forget that. I was like 1980, something, 81. And I made a promise to myself that I would do whatever was necessary not to ever feel that way again. And that really kind of helped start me up. Because what was I feeling? A deep sense of loss. But if I really loved her and she really loved me, I wouldn't have that fear. Nothing real can be threatened. If you have something that's real, nobody or nothing can come between it, especially you. That's who you got to really watch out for. Myself is hiding from me. If I can find it, I kill it. So it's hiding. Myself is hiding. I got to find myself. I can see myself behind the bush. Don't tell them now. Don't tell them I'm in there. Don't tell her myself is in there. You know, I'm out here. You know, I'm himself. I'm outside of him. Right? Right? See how deadly slow. Deadly slow. Right? Then it says, but what do I need? Well, if my girlfriend was a conscious being and she saw me feeling jealous, she would want to correct what? My sense of loss. She would want to help me not feel afraid. She would want to help me not think that I could lose just because she French kissing somebody. And those of you who don't know what French kissing is, you don't have to. It's probably better for me if you don't. It just means you're kissing in France. Or you are a French person kissing. When I spoke in Paris, I French kissed. The Course says this is a joke we forgot to laugh at. So its humor is helpful to our awakening. But it doesn't mean that what I'm saying is not serious stuff. Right? Sometimes I used to feel like my classes had such entertainment value that that's all people thought I was an entertainer. So it was about coming to my class just to laugh and not understanding that I just have been saying what the Course is telling us to have a more peaceful, powerful life. We can have both of them. We can receive the truth and we can have a good time. You know, so I try to be the kind of teacher I would come to and listen to. That's my model. Who would I want to come here? You know, that's what you need to be. You know. Now, the only reason I can talk about the tyrant of my ego that I used to be is because I'm not that way anymore. So I love myself more, and since I love myself more, I can look at the crappy stuff I did in the past without condemning myself for it, because I don't believe that's me anymore. So therefore, I can look at all the stuff, the fear, the shame, the guilt, the anger, the grievances that I've been carrying. Y'all, you know what I'm saying now? Because the Course has taught me how to love myself more and to know who I really am. I can look at my selfishness and my anger and my insecurities and my guilt, and I don't have to stuff them, because now I understand that all that crappy stuff I was doing, that unloving stuff I was doing, was because I was a person who believed that I could lose or had lost, or that I was lacking and something about me wasn't whole and complete. So what my partner would do if they saw me afraid, if they were conscious, what would they do? They would try to correct my sense of loss, which would be merely to recognize I'm calling for love and give me the love and appreciation that I'm asking for. Oh, wait a minute now. I kind of look like my partner might be, feeling a sense of loss. There's an AR-15. I think They might be feeling threatened. So what do I want to do? Hey, how you feeling? Is everything okay? I want you to know I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate the fact that, you didn't pull the trigger. Let's start there. So if you help them recognize that they're not going to lose because you answered and recognized their call for love, then you've gone a long way toward helping them get rid of their jealousy. Why do I use regular I could use very metaphysical, spiritual examples, but for me, the Course in Miracles doesn't mean anything to me if I can't apply it to the day-to-day reality that I think I exist in. So people who need what they think of as really deep Course in Miracles classes, so they can't tune in if I'm talking about this kind of stuff, there's something I want you to do. Go away. I want good energy. I was at a table talking to a lady that I met at a dinner last night, and she was like really offended and kind of going off on the Course in Miracles, and she found out I was a Course in Miracles teacher. And she was very upset because of the language of the Course, that she said it reflected the patriarchy, and it's using all that Bible stuff and saying God. And Earl, I think what you should do is you should redo the Course so that it's gender neutral and that it's not using any of those kinds of terms because that's just I just don't like it or whatever. So people forget I didn't actually write the Course at the
You didn't.
No, I was trying to figure out how I was going to bring that to you. Okay. So, and I was trying to think about, and what I did, what I was hearing was something that was, to me, beyond reason, because she'd already judged something she didn't know anything about. And anyway, and so, of course, I was trying to figure out, well, what do I say? And I started to say something. Well, actually, what I would suggest, if it's not something, you might cut that light on, it's got extra dark in it. But what I would say is, if this is not the way, something that doesn't bring you peace and something that you don't really want to do, then you would try to do it as far as you can up, so maybe have to flicker. Thank you. I was saying, well, it's the way that you're seeing it that's upsetting you. So rather than me try to change the course, why don't you change your mind? Or study something else. People are shocked when I said it because they expected me to defend, and I try not to ever defend. So the course says don't defend, right? And what I learned was I should have followed the voice of the Holy Spirit that told me, just shut up and not say anything. Because the more reason I tried to use, the more angry and defensive that she became. It was really wonderful. And the Course in Miracles says, I love this, he says, reason is beyond those who are totally insane. So when he said the Course in Miracles taught me that if a person's really insane, they don't listen to reason. Okay? And then he says, then there's the partially insane. And the Course says, that's y'all. And you should feel like you progressed. You are no longer totally crazy. Isn't that great? Isn't that the most positive? This is what I call Course in Miracles positive thinking. Course in Miracles positive thinking is, you're not crazy as you used to be. That's what the Course, right. He said, so we can listen to reason. Like telling them, if you don't like the way the Course in Miracles is written, then maybe what you want to do, you have this much anger and animosity to it, maybe you want to study a spiritual path that you could really appreciate more because it's going to take you to the same place. And I said, actually, if everybody had to change the Course in Miracles according to how somebody might see it, then you'd be changing the Course in Miracles 1,000 times a day. So remember that. If you start changing yourself or trying to change yourself for somebody else because of how they see you, then if you start living that way, you'll be trying to change yourself for everybody around you and everyone you're with, and you'll never be your authentic self and you'll never be happy. Be yourself and see who falls away. Be yourself and see who stays. Be yourself and see who leaves you. There's nothing crueler than somebody that doesn't love you staying with you. At least the person don't like you, love you enough to leave. The other person is sadistic. They don't like it and they stay there. Or you don't like them and you stay there. The Course in Miracles says we don't want to suffer by ourselves because nobody will see us. So we form relationships so somebody can see what they've done to you. Let's move in together so you can see what you're doing to me. Right? This book talks like that. Just straight up. And that's why I understand that people takes them a while to get into this, if ever. It says right here. So did y'all see what I just did? Okay, the person was afraid. The person was feeling jealous. I had a deep sense of loss. What do we call that? Jealousy, right? Then my partner was sane enough to see it and wanted to correct the error. How? By giving me the love I'm calling for. Remember, the Course in Miracles has been teaching us over the last several weeks that no matter what you see, you're just seeing a call for love and you're seeing a call for help. This is the practical application of that idea. Now, if she had not wanted to do that, then she might not have been the one that was supposed to answer that call. Because when you're the one that's supposed to answer the call, you'll be willing to answer a person's call for love, and you'll believe that you're able to answer the person's call for love. So if she had felt like she didn't want to answer my call for love, it doesn't mean the universe wouldn't have answered my call for love, but it also let me know that she didn't love me. It's no way you love somebody and you won't help them when they need it. So don't you tell me you love me and I need your help and you don't even want to give it to me. Even if it's just telling me the truth about how you feel. I know you're going through a lot right now. I'm not the one to answer that the way you want to, but I'll join with you in let's attracting the person who will do it. See, answering the call for love, you know if you're the one that's supposed to physically do it if you want to. But if I don't want to, that obviously I wouldn't be the one God's picking, because that would make for a dumb God. A dumb God would never try to get a person to do something that don't want to do it, because that's the slowest way on earth to get anything done. So I never try to get somebody to love me who don't love me. That's too much work. I'm not willing to put in that kind of work in any relationship that I got any kind of choice about, especially if I know I only want love for you. I only want your peace. Then that means any grievance you got against me, that's your story, that's your problem, and it doesn't have anything to do with me, because my motive is not to hurt you. So if you see it, you can see it any kind of way you want to see it. As long as I know where I'm coming from, I'll know what to do. I know exactly what the right kind of friend looks like for me. The right kind of partner looks like for me. I know exactly what they look like because I know myself more. So now I know what works for me and I know what doesn't. And I know what my purpose is and I know what I want to achieve. So I can talk to a person for 15 minutes and have a pretty good idea if we need to be spending any kind of personal time together. Because either you're going to distract me from my purpose or you're going to help me reach it. And either I'm going to distract you from your purpose or I'm going to help you reach it. Either I'm going to be bringing more love into your experience and peace into your experience, or I'm going to be bringing more pain and more conflict in your experience. And if I know you're full of grievances toward me, I know at that point that you're going to block my miracles and I'm going to block yours, because grievances block your good. They block your prosperity. It blocks your happiness. It blocks your connection. It blocks your freedom. So you can keep on hanging on to that grievance that you had for 10,000 years. That's like you're being willing to hold an umbrella up before the sun and make sure you stay in the shade even though the sun is shining all around you and you think your little personal reality sucks. It's because you're holding the umbrella of unforgiveness over your own head, blocking the sunlight of your own abundance and prosperity.
Woo! All right. Say that, Pastor. Okay, you preaching today? You preaching today, Earl?
That's copyrighted. Earl Purdy. I did not see it on nowhere. Just time goes by so fast, because I know you all be in a hurry to get back to your exciting experiences that we're not there. But I tell you, for me, having an opportunity to share what I love the most and what's most helpful, that is my greatest joy with the people the souls that I need to forgive the most out of all souls. See, the people that you attract to you in a special relationship, that's the person that you're going to have to forgive the most. So anybody you're attracted to is somebody you're going to end up having to forgive about something. And because none of you have ever gotten in a relationship that wasn't something that some forgiveness was called for. I defy any of y'all to ever say that and be honest sitting in this class. So that person you was attracted to was really going to be the person that you have the greatest amount of grievances with. Do you know why? Because he said, because you're going to project all of your past relationships onto that person, and you're going to expect that person to make up for all the relationships that never worked in your experience. So they're supposed to show you that you aren't as hard to love as it looked like. That's why other people gone. Right? Because they was enamored of you, they'd probably still be hanging around. Right? So this person got to make up and give you the love nobody else has ever given you before. And that's what we say. This is going to be the love that's going to be the greatest one that I've ever had. Right? Because you're the one that's got to make up for the low self-esteem I have about how I've been treated in the past. So I'm going to be judging you based on my past relationship. So I'm really having a relationship with the person I was with before you. So I'm really in a relationship with the person that's not there.
Yeah.
That's what the Course says. We're having relationships with people that are not there. And that could be the same as you being by yourself a lot. That's you being in a relationship with somebody that's not there. And a lot of people are. They don't do anything with their partners or a lot of their friends. They're in relationships with people who are not there. So the Course is saying to us, then you try to supply that loss. I was feeling jealous. The person supplied the loss. He says that's the way you teach yourself that fear doesn't exist in you. So he just told us, well, how do I learn that fear doesn't exist in me? The way that I learned that fear doesn't exist in me is I'm going to try to answer everybody else's call for love and try to show them that they are loved and appreciated. And the more I show them that they are loved and appreciated, then the less fear I will have, because we have more of a peaceful, loving connection. So this book has just told me in two sentences. It's told me how to teach myself that fear does not exist in me, that I have no fear in me. You just heard that. Then the mind goes, huh? Right? Yeah, you just heard how to realize all your fears and your anger and your upset. You've just been told how to make sure it doesn't exist in you. We just heard that. Believe it or not, the Course in Miracles just told us that. And we get 1,000,000 times to try it every day. And so I'm going to do a quick 2 or 3 minute recap in just a second of what I've said so far. Everything I've said, whether it was me staring in the book, so therefore I know you want to do the book and I'm not just getting in the book. I never let my subject matter get in the way of what I have to say. Because if Spirit wants to speak through me, then I just let it speak through me, and that makes sure it's from the Course. There's nothing I've said this entire hour that wasn't rooted in the principles of the Course in Miracles. But I don't care about the Course in Miracles if I can't use it as soon as this class is over and I go out in this world. So right now, I want to give you an opportunity, if you'd like to make a donation to my full-time teaching ministry. I appreciate that. If you'd like to do it online, you can use Zelle, and you can use Venmo, the Cash App, PayPal, or you could go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com. All you need is my email address, earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com, earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. I joyfully receive, I deserve to receive, and so do you. I deserve to be prospered and abundance, and people share with me and give to me, and I give to them, and I share with them. I deserve every bit of prosperity and wealth that this world has to offer, that you all deserve equally.
It's your natural state. state.
You know, abundance is our natural state.
Yes, it
Abundance is our, so why I'm saying, because I actually feel a deep sense of loss when I ask for donation.
Are you gonna pass that?
You know, yeah. I told you that if I was really about the money, it'd already be out there. That's, you can pay attention to that, okay? It wasn't like I was running. Pew! Earl Purdy, earlpurdy.com. I'm available for one-on-one sessions called clarity sessions. I'm available for one-on-one sessions called clarity sessions. I would love to be able to have a one-on-one with you, because we can go much deeper than we go in a class. I can show you how to apply this to get the healing and peace of mind based on what the course is teaching and my 40 years of experience of working with people. I'm still doing this because I'm learning to do it too. I'm still doing this because I'm learning it too. You got that? Mm-hmm. Because when I talk to you and you talk to me, we both heal. Because when spirit comes through us when we're together, it's always giving both of us the advice that we need. And then it bonds us more in a much more powerful connection in relationship. Because you know you have at least one relationship that you can express everything, even to the most negative, fearful thoughts and shameful and guilty thoughts, and know that you're sitting in front of somebody that wants to see your innocence and wants to recognize and help you remember that you're innocent and that you're loved, and that was your call for help and your call for love. And then this is what the Course says, and this is what my experience working with people in the Course says you need to do about this in order to have this solved. And I'm not talking theoretical, because I've been doing this so long. I have had many experiences of people having the change that they're looking for at a level that blows their mind. And I've seen what the ones do who get the results, and I've seen what the ones do and don't do that don't get the results, and we can bring that into our time together to show you that your problem has already been solved, or help you recognize the problem so it can be solved, and how there are certain steps that you would take to deal with any situation to get the outcome that you want. It's not Earl Purdy's wisdom, it's the wisdom that's coming through the Course, the truth. I'm just a messenger. But the difference between a messenger of the truth and God and a regular messenger is I have to accept the message for myself first. That's the difference between a spiritual messenger and a regular old earthly messenger. You know, your mailman does not have to accept your bill before he gives it to you, right? So the Course is saying if you're a spiritual teacher, if you're growing in your consciousness and you really want to have that world that you want, then you need to accept what you're studying right now, and then give this message. So when I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about my own anger and fear, and I'm forgiving myself. I couldn't bring up my past ego if I still wanted to condemn myself, because I'd have too much shame to let you see it. But because I know that's not the way I either am or want to be, then I don't have to hide. So you'll find over the coming weeks, to help bring home some of the things, not all the time, I'll try to give you some experiences that could help you relate to it like that. Was that helpful? Like to think in terms of how that person was jealous, and then that's a deep sense of loss. See, that's why you want to be with people you like. Because with people you like, you don't mind trying to help them out. I cheat. What is cheating? I try to spend my time and focus my energy on the people that appreciate me, because it's easier for me to be forgiving with them and kind to them. So first of all, try to surround yourself with people who appreciate you. They'll be more likely to try to help you and answer your call for love than someone who feels anger and resentment and don't recognize you. See, that's practical. That's practical. So let's see what else I want to do right quick. 1 o'clock Sundays, Mountain Standard Time, the online Facebook Live Course in Miracles class at 1555 Race Street, here in Denver, Colorado, 80206. So we're online, and you can come in person. Thursday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook. That is only online, and I call it Hardcore Course in Miracles. So that's a class that's really geared toward people who are actually studying it, and they have the book and they're tackling it, and they're familiar enough to be into it. There are much deeper levels that I can teach the course on than I can teach when someone has not really gotten deep in their own study and journey of the course. All right, so just know that we can go deep. We can really go deep. So that's Thursday, 7 p.m. You can, all the classes on YouTube. If you Google my name, then you'll see a bunch of stuff come up. Forget the stuff, some of the stuff that my name might come up on some few sites, but you have a lot of YouTube that you can look at. Okay, again, that doesn't have anything to do with how much money you got. That how much money you got does not affect what I'm sharing. That I'm not offering what I'm doing regardless of a person's financial situation. Think about that, and that's a good, loving thing to do. See, I'm giving it to myself too. Giving it to myself too, right? So now, I'd like for you to just close your eyes for a minute. Would y'all do that? When you're feeling fear, when you're feeling anger, when you're feeling upset, when you're feeling sick, do you feel sick? When you're worried about your bills and you're worried about something that's going on in your personal, physical dream world, all the things that are going on, do you ever feel fear? Do you ever feel fear? Do you ever feel fear? And fear is anger and jealousy and insecurity and lack and sickness and attack. So when you see the people around you going through any of those fearful, negative emotions, when you see your friends going through those fears, when you see your relatives going through fear, when you see your coworkers going through fear, when you look at TV and you see some fear, when you look at TV and you see fear and you see upset with all the different things that seem to be going on in the world right now. Somebody's house that's just been destroyed because of a tornado, they're feeling a deep sense of loss. Your brother or sister is feeling a deep sense of loss, a deep sense of loss. Fear is a deep sense of loss. Fear is a deep, deep, deep sense that you're losing, but that you lost. Whenever you're upset, whenever you're feeling conflict, that is fear. It's a call for love. Fear is a call for God. Fear is a call for love. Upset is a call for God. It's a call for love. So if you see it in others, tomorrow when you see fear, when you leave here today and you see some type of fear or upset or grievance or unhappiness in another person, what do? You learn to correct the sense of loss. How do you do that? You see it as a call for love. You see it as a call for healing. You see it as a call for help. And you tell yourself that person is afraid of losing right now. That person is afraid they could lose right now. So when you feel fear, don't use the word fear just for a while. I want you to try something. Every time you feel what you think of as any kind of upset, jealousy, worry, depression, a sense of foreboding, concern about the future, something that's going on with your body. Whenever you're feeling that, say to yourself, I'm feeling a deep sense of loss. I'm feeling a deep, deep sense of loss. I'm feeling a deep, deep sense of loss today. I've been afraid all day. I've been upset all day. What's going on, girl? I'm feeling a deep sense of loss today. I'm feeling anger and fear. I'm feeling a deep sense of loss. I think I have lack and I don't have enough. I'm feeling a deep sense of loss. And that is my call for God and abundance. I'm calling for God. I'm calling for abundance. I'm calling for God. I'm calling for love. They are calling for God. They're calling for love. That worry, that upset, that fear that you might see in your friends, your relatives, your partners, that upset that they sometimes go through, what you might see tomorrow, what you might see later today. If you get this lesson, you're going to remember and you're going to say to yourself, that insanity that I see is a deep sense of loss. I need to help correct that error. How has truth taught me to correct that error? It has taught me to see it as a call for God, a call for help, a call for healing, a call for God, a call for love, a call for healing. That person just said something really painful, something that I really felt a lot of hurt when they said that to me. I'm going to say that person had a deep, deep call for God. That person had a deep call for love. They had a very deep sense of loss. What am I supposed to do? Well, I'm going to help correct that error. How am I going to do that? Well, I'm not going to attack them. I'm not going to condemn them. I'm going to help correct their error by demonstrating what love and peace really looks like. But if you can't do that and you find yourself reacting to somebody, they are acting angry and upset towards you about something, and you feel yourself feeling that same anger coming back through you and you want to attack them, that's you both calling for love at the same time. Sometimes you're going to be calling for love yourself, and you won't be able to be as peaceful as you'd like to be. And you may find yourself going off on them or getting just as angry at them as they seem like they got at you. If you're in situations like that, that's you are both calling for love. You're both calling for love. You're both calling for love. You're both calling for help. You're both calling for healing. That's what's happening. So what do you do? What do you do? What is the one rule you don't break when you're feeling angry and you want to attack, and they're feeling angry and they want to attack? How do you help correct each other's error? Try to remember, if at all possible, do not physically attack them. 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 If you're angry and they're angry, you should separate to heal if that's what's necessary. You need to separate to heal. If you're both crazy at the same time, you need to separate to heal. You need to get away from each other for a while until you come back to the point that you could recognize any kind of call for love, a call for help, a call for healing. Because the more you see what everybody else is doing as a call for help, a call for God, a call for healing, you will realize that that applies to you. And so you will start to be more compassionate with yourself when you make mistakes and when you act less than how you think you would like to act. That's why you want to see everybody else. Just see it as a call for help. It doesn't mean that you are necessarily the one to actually do anything. Right now, you're working at the level of perception. And you can do this. You can practice it. And that shows you and teaches you that fear doesn't exist in you, and you can remove it in yourself. Okay, mighty companions online and in the room, I am so glad that I get a chance to listen to this over and 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 over, especially when I am calling for love. And so please share the video. Please. Love you so much. Told you. Put your clothes on.